welcome to HTV episode 3.
I'm sorry, we haven't been around for a little while. I think we've been too busy trying to generate lots more ideas, and we've been busy actually working. So we finally found some time. The rest of the staff have gone off to a training event, and we haven't. So.
Can we just say the reason we haven't gone is because the training event doesn't apply to you, Wi-Fi. It's not because we couldn't be bothered and we thought we'd have more fun recording.
So this is it, episode 3. We want to share something with you, another addition to our mornings, and this is story bags.
These are story bags, and this is an idea that we got from Alan Peat. We went on to an Alan Peat conference and met him. He's a very interesting man if you ever get to meet him.
Several years ago now,
yes.
A very interesting man, extremely funny, extremely funny.
And he suggested that you could use story bags. And we do this to help with oracy, to really get those storytelling skills generated and embedded. And
for an understanding of how a story works, what does it look like?
Because we found, we were talking about stories to lots of the children and saying who might be in it, or let's write a story or generate our story. And often they would be pulling on TV programmes and films. And it's not always the most helpful, because then their characters only do what they do in the films, and quite rightly so. So, as well as reading lots of stories to the children to give them a wide range of characters and settings and actions and things like that, we also use story bags.
And we interpreted Alan Peat's idea. He actually said we should have a lot more bags, but we felt for introducing to reception, actually we only needed just the 5 bags to break a story down.
Yeah, Alan Peat suggested, I think, about 8 for the older Key Stage 1 children. He did say you could have less for younger children, and so we've ended up with our 5. So these are our 5 story bags, and they break up a very simple story into...
Who is the first bag, and we'll come back and show you what's inside.
Where.
Where next.
Why.
And where last, and feelings. So within each of these bags, we literally print off a series of images and we pop them in the bag. So for instance, in the very first bag, we actually get all the children to perhaps all sit down together with a partner.
Yeah.
Because we like to use paired talking.
Mainly because
story partners.
we like to talk a lot with each other, or sometimes.
Some more than others.
Can you not roll your eyes at me? This is actually... I will put that on the internet.
Sorry. It's true though. It's him, it's not me. Anyway, in the first bag, it's all about who. So this is our character. This is where we will use the word character. Are you laughing? Stop it. This is where we use the word character. And inside our bag, we will have literally several pictures. So from girls, boys,
I think there's
princesses,
knights.
Yeah, knights. A crab?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what a crab's
I don't
doing.
remember ever making a story with a
know.
crab. I think the crab was from the beach story and was another picture.
Oh.
At the end of the year, we do story bags with multiple pictures in, and that's good fun because as a teacher, you never know
You don't know what's going
what
to
the
happen.
story's going to be. But at the start of the year, we only have 1 picture in each bag so that we can control it. We know what's coming. And
or you could use your mini-me, and there is a mini-me.
hello, ego. She's put herself in there.
But I was short enough to fit in the bag and you couldn't see me. Sadly, Mr. Carter's a little bit taller than me.
That's fit you in this bag now. Get in.
So
There's an ongoing joke about how small Anita is in school, I'm sorry. Anyway, back to story
all good
bags.
things come in little packages.
So the why, and then we talk to children about who this is. Later on in the year, we start to come up with descriptive words for our characters as well. The children, we started it last week with our children. This was Daisy. So we generate a sentence, and then there's lots of my turn, children's turns, so that they get that that story that we're creating locked into their brain. So once there was a girl called Daisy who lived,
and once again, fill your bag up with different images, different settings, different places. So we've got castles, right down to caravans, a beehive, that followed a story we did in the summer, and what we've been using this week, a block of flats. Because actually, many of our children living in rural Somerset, there isn't actually an awful lot of flats.
Didn't know what a flat was, or block of
and
flats.
so we spent time exploring and talking about what their idea of flats were.
So, once there was a girl called Daisy who lived in a flat, and as you just saw Mrs. Curtis.
We
did it again
build
according to
in
Mrs.
the
Curtis.
stop it. We build in the actions. We get the children to decide what the actions for flats were. So we use the who lived in a block of flats.
Now, the where next. So where is the character going in our story? And Daisy looks like a terrible school to work in. Dreadful, I wouldn't work in that school. So, once there was a girl called Daisy who lived in a flat. One day she went to school. Now, the Y bag is a bit special. Normally, in here, there is a blank piece of paper. And that's because it's hard to condense the Y to a picture. And it would constrain all of your stories when you've got multiple pictures in the bag. Your story would be really tricky to make sense. So often, normally, it's a blank piece of paper.
And the ideas are generated from the children's ideas. So we'll go through, we'll dip in, find out what their ideas are, and one of the adults will scribe. So, incidentally, the children decided that Daisy, who lived in the block of flats, who one day went to school, why did she go to school? What was she doing there? And our children were just so fab, they said to have fun. So instantly the story is building.
Do you remember the other suggestions we had though? That we had been doing some work to do with PSHE, or we call it core learning skills because that's our academy thing. And we've been talking about why we come to school, and we got all the usual
to learn how to write,
to learn
to read,
to learn about dinosaurs, which I was most pleased with. But then we said, does no one come to have fun? Oh yeah, we have loads of fun. That was just
our own egos, really. And then the last bag is all about, well, where is the story going to finish? If you notice, we haven't actually used the word beginning, middle, or end. We prefer not to, and actually I think Alan Peake talks about not using those words beginning, middle, and end. Because there are so many different stages and developments within a story. So, where are we finishing? Which I suppose is the end, isn't it? But
I think the children will naturally end up saying, where does my story end? The end.
We don't want that, the end.
But where does she go last, or where does he? Where does your character go last in the story? And in this, Daisy goes to the park, and then the last thing to do is talk to the children about feelings, because when the children are writing stories further up the school, they are going to need to be able to talk about that motivation. So we just at the moment are using happy or sad, and the children talk to their partner and decide, but also come up with a why. And she was feeling happy because she loved the park.
She's in her favourite place. So once we've built up the whole story, what happens is throughout the week we do this every single day, just before lunch, after we've done all the rest of our activities in the morning, just before lunch. We usually allow a good 10 minutes and we're all coming together, we all have our talking partners and we generate the story. Now, the story does tend to stay, the pictures will stay the same for the week.
Yeah, so it'll be the same story for a week, so the children get that storytelling. I think if we changed it every day, that would be a real, that'd be a lot. But the point, so the point is then we get those characters, we get the children to remember a bank of different characters. So their brain can then work a bit like this. When they're writing a story, they can go into their own story bag in their head and go, characters, I remember we made a story with this. Where could my character live? They could live here.
And why? Because that's always a hard one for the
Delilah.
young children. Delilah, da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, now you've made me lose my train of thought. Why is really important because why? Why do the characters go and do that?
Yeah, it's that motivation and so that you don't get into that you'll get stories written that don't make sense. The characters don't have motivation or real motivation. Sometimes we make the stories silly, don't we? On purpose, by putting funny things into, because the children will enjoy that, and we all read them funny stories. Dinosaurs that poop to bed. Loving that one, I read that.
Yeah, Father Christmas Needs a Wee, love that one. The Queen's Knickers.
Sensing
Children remember those.
Sensing a theme with
Lots
us.
of toilet humour in our classes.
Um,
And this has generated, and where we see this going is that we want the children to perhaps by the end of the week, or or indeed in their own time at home, to perhaps want to go and to write this story. Now we have had some children go off independently.
So we've been calling this sort of like an awesome authors kind of session.
Awesome author time.
So before they can be authors, they need to be able to create their stories. And like Anita said, we want them to be, eventually, we might have them writing for us. They might all have a whiteboard, and they might write their idea for the story on the whiteboard, or they might write a sentence. But actually, I was really pleased the other day, one of the children, I'll bring it in for a close-up, one of the children went off in her own time, and she's quite an able writer in terms of, writing independently, and she wrote, once upon a time, there was a girl called Daisy, who she went to school to have fun, and I had to talk to her about full stops. But I love that motivation for writing was there, and she remembered that story. That was all stuck in her head.
And actually, it's been really interesting how it has evolved over the week, and how a little bit of extra bits have crept in, and they are describing what those block of flats look like. She lived on the top floor of the very tall block of flats. And it's all about building up those language, giving those children the skills. We love it. It's worked really well for us. Perhaps you do something similar that you might like to tell us about or share your successes. But for us, awesome author story bags, done every single day, just for a small amount of time, has really increased the confidence of storytelling with our children. So, please do let us know what you think.
Yeah, you know where to find us. Find us on Facebook and Instagram,
Twitter,
Pinterest, and, well, you're hopefully watching this on YouTube, or, otherwise it's very weird. How? It's like, I don't know, it's mysterious. Obviously you're on YouTube. I don't know what's going on. It's the end of the day. I'm very tired, I'm sorry.
But anyway, thank you for watching, and see you again soon.
Bye!